NFL teams with big decisions to make. We're going to play a game. Tag or no tag? Next. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital starts right now.
Let's go! It's time for the talk to you. 'Cause when it comes to sport, it's all we're gonna do. It's all green, it's always on the sea. And we're gonna always bring it to the live streaming. So get ready, Get ready, 'cause here they come.
All right, I'm pretty pumped. I'm ready. You ready? Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Manchild Jim Lurch along with Paul. Boy Green Esden Jr. talking all things sports with you. Football topic today. Topic du jour. And we're going to play a little game. You know, back in the days when Paul and I were doing radio together, we had a thing called Fun Fridays. We did this during the summer months, and we would basically come up with different game ideas based on game shows and things that you're familiar with. Like we used to play Cash Cab. Except studio, right? Remember? Take a ride in the Cash Cab, right? So you play Cash Cab against each other, Family Feud, Jeopardy, just general trivia, general knowledge. I mean, I can't even think of all the Dead or Alive.
Sure.
You name a celebrity, and you have to decide whether they were still alive or actually died. I used to play that. That was a lot of fun.
Two truths and a lie.
Two truths and a lie, where we make three statements. One of them is true. The other two are a lie. You have to detect which one is the lie. And sometimes the lie is very subtle. So yeah, there were a lot of fun things. And for those things, we always had like fun things. Like Paul, if you jump in, I think we have a couple of them in.
We do.
Playbook.
Okay, you tell me what you want me to hit.
Dead or Alive is a fun short one. All right, so we would have little opens, little fun things
like this
with our shows.
Dead or alive.
All right, so there's an intro to Dead or Alive. You want to do one more? I do.
Oh
one
yeah,
more.
yeah. This one's a fun one.
I swear it's absolutely true.
I'd never tell a lie. Never, ever tell a lie.
It's a complete and utter fabrication.
Truth, justice, and the American way.
Really now, I just gilded the lily a bit. Just a little. Lies, 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 lies.
Time to figure out where the truth lies. It's two truths and a lie on the Manchild Show.
And I have to tell you, this is my favorite background music we have. This music right here that you can hear beneath us. Red wire, blue wire, yellow wire. I'm like, oh my God, my life is on the line, Paul. There's 3 minutes on the clock. And if you are not successful, your family will die. Go. And you're just like, oh boy, what am I going to do here? Oh boy, look at the situation. I got to, oh boy, what am I going to do? I'm going to line. Just so you know, there's all that drama.
All right. So we had some cool opens. So we're going to have a little fun today. By the way, we are presented by Northeast Roofing Professionals. You see them up above us there in the center. NERPCNY.com for all your roofing needs here in central New York, especially if you live in the Fayetteville and DeWitt areas and the surrounding areas to those areas. That's where our friends at Northeast Roofing Professionals thrive. So give them a call or check them out online. Again, NERPCNY.com. Today's video brought to you by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria, where it's always love at first slice. And we'll hear a little more about Cam's a little bit later in the show. But our Wednesday show, as you know, we have a new live guest. He joins us every Wednesday. He's our NFL insider from Between the Hash Marks on Substack. It's the one, the only Matt Lombardo. Hello, Matt. How are you?
What's up, guys? March, were you the voice actor for all of those opens? Some of those were really impressive.
Yes, I am quite a voice savant. And those are mostly my voices. Yes, correct.
By the way, real quick, though, Lurch, thank you for getting Matt Lombardo's intro correct. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Very nice.
Awesome.
Great
I've
stuff.
just been so awful, Matt.
You have. So I want to congratulate you when you get it right. I think that's important.
I'm working on it. Always working on. It's good to work on yourself.
Sure, right? Yeah.
That's do the shadow work. Get it right.
So as you can tell, Matt, we were having a lot of fun back in the day, and so why not continue that fun in the digital world? So we have an opportunity. Paul and I were talking about topics for this week, and obviously the fact that teams are looking at players at this point of the year to make decision on franchise tags, and there's been a lot written about it. So we selected, I think we got about 7 players, that we got from a recent list that was put out by an NFL Insider. And what we're going to do with you is play a little game, okay? There's some fact to this game, but we're going to play a little game. The game is tag or no tag. It's like deal or no deal. You're taking the money or you're paying the money, okay? So we will set up each player, Matt, with some statistical information, maybe a little story, and then we will hand it off to you, and we will ask you the question, and we have a little sounder. We have some tense music, and don't answer until you hear this thing. Boy Green, can you just play it once so Matt knows what to expect? Before he's asked to respond, we will say this: tag or no tag. Okay, so that once you hear that, then it's your turn to speak, Matt, and we will go from there. Okay, all right. So let us begin, as they say. All right, we're going to start with my least favorite team in the entire NFL. They've got a problem, and it's this guy, George Pickens. Or is he a problem? All right, you could see there on the screen his franchise tag projected price if Dallas elects to tag him is almost $29 million. Pretty good buco bucks. Sure. Some numbers on Pickens. Number one, he's only 24 years old, Matt, so he's a youngin', okay? He has only missed 3 games in his entire career, so he's been very durable for the 4 years that he's been in the NFL. And here are his numbers, the best of his numbers. I'm just going to give you the best numbers, Matt. And that's last year. Believe it or not, he did not put up his best numbers with the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he spent most of his career. It was with the Cowboys last year that he put up his best overall numbers, where he had 1,429 total yards, 93 receptions, and 9 touchdowns. So pretty impressive numbers. Maybe the one question mark, if you have one about a guy like George Pickens, is the brain, the wiring all correct there, or is it a little twisted up and crazy, as George has proven to us time and time again that he can be. So with that in mind, Matt?
No, wait, sorry. We're doing a couple of things here.
Tag or no tag?
There you go.
Lurch, this is kind of an easy one here because there's been some reporting, I believe, from Todd Archer of ESPN that the Cowboys plan to use the tag on George Pickens. But my thought here is that this is one of these situations where the franchise tag is merely a placeholder to open the window wider to have more time to work out a long-term contract extension. Because here's the deal. The Cowboys are projected to be $30 million over the cap. So they don't have the ability to trim enough cap space to fit a 1-year, $28.82 million deal under the cap for George Pickens. And if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, if I'm Jerry Jones, if I'm Brian Schottenheimer, I'm doing everything I can to bring George Pickens back because they've made it abundantly clear that their mission is to try and win a Super Bowl around Dak Prescott and the offense. You have CeeDee Lamb, you have George Pickens, you have Prescott. That's the foundation for everything they're trying to do moving forward from here. They were able to keep Pickens under control, so to speak, for most of last year. There was that incident in, I believe it was Arizona, where he was suspended for the first series or 2 of the game. But I think a long-term deal with financial security takes care of a lot of those concerns and a lot of those issues.
BG, you're a semi-Dallas Cowboy fan, so you can answer as well. Tag or no tag on George Pickens? You keeping this guy or not?
I just want to say this. I love George Pickens. I think he's super talented. To see the crazy one-handed catches he makes and then drop slant passes is very jarring and confusing. But this guy's a basket case. I mean, he Brooke Pryor, when the Steelers decided to trade him to the Cowboys, she went over some of the documented history from Georgia, which is a big reason he fell in the draft. And then also at the professional ranks with fighting with teammates and fighting in the middle of plays. And we saw it at a peak end of the Cowboys. For the most part, I thought George Pickens was on his best behavior for most of the season. at the end of the year in an important game when I had him on my fantasy team, some of his route running was a little questionable. It seemed like he was sort of not giving full effort. And it was, I remember what game it was because Richard Sherman after the game berated him after the game. So it was an Amazon on Prime game, so a Thursday Night Football game, and he berated him for his lack of effort and all these interceptions and other plays that happened where he was the targeted receiver. I believe they tag him because he's just, again, you should maximize. They got him in the first place. You want to tag him. But Ian Rappaport said there could be a tag and trade here, potentially, where he gets moved to another team. He's a really talented guy. Again, you mentioned 24 years old, all the stats. That he could end up going somewhere else. To a team like, who knows? Could Buffalo strike a trade for
Raiders.
a superstar wide receiver? Is it right? The Raiders? Is it a team that just has Buco Bucks? Is it one of these contending teams? Does New England try to do something crazy? That I would be interested in. So tag 100%. Tag and stay? Tag and trade? That may be up for interpretation.
All right, fair enough. BG, you have the next one, so fire away.
All right, great. Okay, let's go to the next one. We'll go to a different position. Indiana Jones, Daniel Jones, the projected franchise tag number is $47.32 million. Woof. That is a high price. And this is a complicated situation here, Matt, because Daniel Jones is coming off a torn Achilles, which will possibly and likely compromise at least some portion of the 2026 season. But the Colts went all in on him. They traded their 2 first-round picks for Sauce Gardner, and they did that, giving up those picks because they thought they had their guy in Daniel. So it sounds like they're pretty desperate to keep Daniel Jones. But again, it's complicated because of the torn Achilles. So without further ado, we must ask the very pressing question here, Matt Lombardo.
Tag or no tag?
Yeah, I don't think that Daniel Jones gets the tag. I think that $47.32 million price tag is prohibitive coming off of the ACL injury. I think that injury is going to keep Daniel Jones's market down once free agency begins. I think there's no question about it that the Colts would like to bring him back, especially against the backdrop of so much uncertainty in the quarterback market. You're talking about guys like Malik Willis or Tyson Bagent being some of the most coveted quarterbacks available. I think they saw what Daniel Jones can do within that scheme. I don't think they tagged him because I also think that tag is going to be earmarked for another Colt.
Which we'll get to here very shortly, I imagine.
All right. Daniel Jones. Oh, boy.
Lurch, you're giant boy. Why don't you give us your Daniel Jones?
Anomaly. Oh, man, Daniel. Listen, I wish him well. I do wish him well. But I don't ever want him back. His course ran, and I don't care whether he turns into the next Joe Montana. I don't want him back in the Giants. He had his chance. He was given chance after chance. I think the Giants gave him more than enough time to show that he could do the job. And you could argue the Giants didn't put enough around him. There's a legit argument there. But, the fact of the matter is he got his chance. And I just don't think he's made for New York either. New York is not Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones and New York, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And that's just the way it is with some players. And I think he's just one of those players. So I do wish him well. He seems like an earnest, good guy. I think he was a good teammate on the Giants. I think he was, I think he did his part. It just didn't succeed there. So let him succeed somewhere else. Good for him.
Which is fine.
Tag, I absolutely say, I say tag. And I actually think that they could get him to a lesser deal, like maybe a 3-year deal at lesser money and lock him down. And I think that Indianapolis may be more likely to try to do that. But they don't want to let him slip away, so they have to be careful about how they're going to do it. So they may have to tag him in order to
limited quarterback options.
With him, So maybe that's what they do. Maybe it's tag and then deal. But I think they want to keep him. And then the thing is he even going to be back for the opener either because that was a serious injury. So, he's definitely looks like he's going to miss a little at the beginning of the season. So what are you willing to do there too?
Man, and Lurch, what I was really just waiting for is for you to admit that cutting Daniel Jones was a mistake. With the Colts at 7-1, and their only loss was because of a new receiver that joined the Jets and Adonai Mitchell. If you didn't do those two stupid things, the Colts would have been 8-0 with Indiana Jones there, Lurch. So, is there anything else you want to add on this Daniel Jones conversation?
No, I have nothing else to add. Nothing else to add, Boy Green.
Okay. Zero. Well, I've got something to add. MFC just gifted a 12th Manchild membership out in the audience. That's beautiful, baby.
Hell yeah.
There
Coach.
you go,
MFC. MFC, I saw you had posted
real quick, Lurch.
Yeah, go ahead.
That membership, just want to say that went to Johnny Boy out in our audience who received that membership. So there you go. So thank you, MFC. I just wanted to let you guys know where that membership went. But go ahead, Lurch, you have a story to tell.
No, I was going to say MFC. You got a hold of it, posted a picture. I think you said it was on Discord or something.
Yeah, on my Discord. Yep.
On your Discord of drinking out of our Manchild show with Boy Green mug. He had he had like a purple beverage in there or something, right? It was a very cool thing that he had in there.
Let me see.
Yeah, I had never heard of it. Can you grab that picture? That was a really cool thing. I was like, yeah, I love it, man. People actually using the merch. Gotta love it. Love that top shelf.
So there it is. Yeah, here is what he said. My purple monkey dishwasher drink, which is a beautiful name.
Purple monkey dishwasher.
What is in the purple monkey dishwasher?
Okay, so I'm reading. Oh my God!
No, go ahead.
Okay, what do you guys think is in the purple monkey dishwasher beer that he's drinking?
It sounds like something that we would make in the basement of our house when we had house parties back in college. It sounds like the jungle juice that we would throw into the cooler and serve at our parties. I mean, am I coming kind of close here?
Well, let me tell you this. If I gave you guys a million guesses to try to guess any of the flavors in this drink,
we're gonna get
you would never guess. And here, I'm going to go full screen. I'm just going to show it off my phone. Okay. So you're going to see it. Purple monkey dishwasher. And the flavors are chocolate peanut butter porter. Okay, there it is.
There it is.
It's an actual beer. Oh,
yes,
wow.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a real beer, apparently. Yes, and I'll zoom in on that to show you guys that is a real name. Purple monkey dishwasher, chocolate peanut butter
from Evil Genius. Great brewery.
Yeah, see?
Brewery. I love it, man. These breweries are so creative these days, very creative with the
shout out MFC. But obviously, I mean, look at the cup. The cup looks great with the liquid in it. That looks phenomenal. So shout out to MFC. Thank you for gifting a membership.
Thank you, MFC. That's awesome. Really cool. Appreciate that very much. All right, next guy up.
Okay.
And he's another cult, my friend. He's another cult. We're going to talk about the one, the only Alec Pierce. And there it is. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? That Alec Pierce, and we'll get into his numbers. They're not bad. But tag price for Alec Pierce is $28.82 million. I mean,
the same as Pickens, right? It's locked in by
$29 million just to have this guy for a season. Man, it is nice to be playing the game of football professionally and collecting paychecks, boys, because, man, that's some serious money right there. I just can't get enough of that. So here's the numbers on Pierce before you comment on it, Matt. Okay. I just delved up a couple of things. Last 2 years, okay, just like Pickens, he's been in the league for 4 years. And by the way, he's only missed 4 total games in his career as a wide receiver. Last 2 years, 2024, 37 receptions. But this is the thing about this guy. He turns them into yards. He's the guy that stretches the field. 824 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's in 2024. In 2025, last year, 47 receptions, so 10 more receptions, stretched that into over 1,000-yard season. He had 1,003 yards and 6 touchdowns. All right, so that is the credentials on one Alec Pierce. So I ask you the question, Matt. Tag or no tag?
Yeah, guys, I actually dug into Alec Pierce's impending bidding war in last Monday's For Downs column between the hash marks, the Monday after the Super Bowl. And multiple agents that I spoke to told me that they believe that Alec Pierce's market is going to be quote-unquote robust, especially if George Pickens isn't available, that Alec Pierce then becomes the most coveted wide receiver available in free agency. And an executive in the NFC that I spoke to told me he does not believe that the Indianapolis Colts are going to let Pierce hit the market. And if he does, he believes that an Alec Pierce contract could be somewhere in the mid to upper $20 million range, somewhere between Devonta Smith's $25 million a year in Philadelphia or Terry McLaurin's $29 million in Washington. So that's the ballpark, that's the market, that's the pool that Alec Pierce would expect to be swimming in if he reaches free agency. I don't believe that the Colts are going to allow that to happen because I think he's going to get tagged. I think there's a chance they use the tag to have him for one more year with whatever their quarterback situation is, or Similar to how I think the Cowboys plan on deploying the tag, using it to extend the negotiating window to make sure that they have his exclusive rights to negotiate that long-term contract. Now, the executive that I spoke to told me he is so confident in the Colts keeping Alec Pierce that he thinks there's a non-zero chance that the Colts would trade Michael Pittman Jr. to be able to keep Pierce specifically because of the big play threat in the offense and what he adds alongside Tyler Warren. So I think that at minimum, Pierce gets tagged. Good chance he's back there on a long-term deal.
Wow.
Well, I have to follow up as the Jets are looking for a wide receiver, and Michael Pittman could potentially be available. Any idea on the trade price? I saw Bill Bardwell in the trade piece we did on Monday's show, talked about a potential wide receiver swap with the Panthers, Xavier Legette for Michael Pittman, and late round pick swapping. And I was like, wow, I'm surprised that's all the price. So what are we talking about here on potential price for Michael Pittman if he gets moved?
Yeah, my guess would be probably like a mid-round pick, maybe a player. And these two teams obviously have a relationship, and obviously Darren Muji and Chris Ballard have that relationship from the trade deadline working out the Sauce Gardner deal. So if there is a trade to be made, then I think that this would be a natural landing spot, the Jets and Michael Pittman. But here's the issue, and I was speaking to a scout about a different top-tier wide receiver going into the combine potentially as a fit for the Jets. The question becomes, who's throwing the football? Who's the quarterback? Now, even though Michael Pittman and a Garrett Wilson could coexist, I don't know how that chemistry works with suboptimal quarterback play. But obviously, as far as a fit from a compensation and draft capital standpoint and matching that with the need for a big play wide receiver, Michael Pittman to the Jets makes a lot of sense for everybody involved.
Ooh, baby. So we'll note that in the background for sure. So appreciate that. Let's cut off the dramatic music because we've got another name to get to. And this guy helped my fantasy team last year. Atlanta Falcons tight end Kyle Pitts, baby. The franchise tag projected number for a tight end is $16.31 million. He's coming off a second-team All-Pro season. So while some of the stats aren't the best of his career, he's had a 1,000-yard receiving season in his past. Man, Kyle Pitts just looked like a monster this year, and I know there's a whole new coaching staff, so maybe that adds a different dynamic with Kevin Stefanski coming in there. Is there any chance, Matt Lombardo, that one certain Kyle Pitts shakes free? So the question is, William Shakespeare asked this, to tag or not to tag?
Tag or no tag?
What say you, Matt Lombardo?
I think this is the perfect spot for the tag. Right? Because the tag is around $16.3 million as of today, before any restructures, before any cap casualties. The Falcons have $28 million in cap space. So they have the flexibility to fit that tag underneath the cap. And I think that with Kevin Stefanski coming in, you want to get a sense and get a feel for what Kyle Pitts is in that offense with Bijan Robinson, with Drake London, with some of the pieces they have around them in Atlanta. I think the Falcons are an upset pick to win the NFC South next year. But if you're Atlanta, I don't know that you want to get yourself locked into a long-term contract with Kyle Pitts, and then you look at the second half of last season when Kirk Cousins comes in at quarterback, his production explodes, and it turns out to be a half-of-a-year mirage. I think that they'll pay the premium to find out this year to see if it's sustainable, to see how he fits Stefanski's scheme, and I think they'll make some moves to free up cap space along the way to continue building as well. So if you were asking me today, tag or no tag, I think Kyle Pitts gets the tag in Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm with you, Matt. I mean, and Paul, you said it well. I mean, Pitt really showed at the end of last year what he's capable of, and we've all been waiting for that. We've been waiting for that moment, that the athleticism, the good hands, and all the things that he showed in college. I mean, he was a force in college, and I just think he was a victim of system. He has to bear some of the responsibility. I mean, he dropped passes. There were things that didn't go well.
But he was Arthur Smith.
But
as a verb.
Right, he was Smith. Smith.
Yeah, exactly.
At the end, if you can get that. I can't even say it that way. He was Smith did.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I just think he was in the wrong system with the wrong coach, and it certainly appeared that he was finding his legs. And then, hopefully now that's enhanced with Stefanski, who, butters his bread on the offensive side of the ball. We should. expect that that's going to be the case. So, Kyle Pitts, I'm with you. Tag. Here you go. Tag for me.
I think that's the right way to go about it. By the way, I want to give a quick shout out here, by the way. Let's go full blast here because MFC is in the gifting mood, not only just on the MC Show digital channel, but also on the Boy Green channel. Giving the Boy Green Confident Club membership. Play those jobs, baby. Some cross-pollination. Yes, that's happening here. By the way, that membership went to Iconicalware out in our audience. We're streaming live. It's a good reminder. Lurch and Matt Lombardo and everybody watching MC Show Digital, Boy Green channel, and @BoyGreen25 on Twitter. And in our YouTube description down below is a direct Substack link to the one and only NFL Insider Matt Lombardo between the hash marks, baby. So make sure you guys support Matt as well after the show, after we finish up our game of tag or no tag. Get some of that in here. Maybe a perfect place. Go ahead, Lurch.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, maybe a perfect place. You know what? We've gone through this game of tag or no tag. Yeah, I'm a dad. I'm getting older. It's hard to play tag or no tag with the kids. Can we regroup? Can I have a breather real quick? You
got a side stitch going? You got a side sticker going over there?
Do that.
Yeah.
All right, we will. As a matter of fact, today's show is brought to you by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria, where it is always love at first slice. Let's take 30 seconds, learn a little bit more about Cam's, and then we're back. More tag or no tag right after this.
When you think of Cam's Pizzeria, think about two of your favorites. Their zesty buffalo chicken wing pizza or their tasty chicken bacon ranch. Over 16 specialty pizzas made fresh daily with the best ingredients. Indulge in their homemade calzones, subs, wraps, salads, and their famous cannolis for dessert. They're all made with love just for you. Order online for 10% off at camspizza.com. Locations in Camillus and Oswego. Cam's Pizzeria. It's love at first slice.
All right, we are back. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital, presented by Northeast Roofing Professionals. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Join our growing army as we now have climbed over 600 subscribers. So we're on the move again. We've had some really, really good interviews in recent days, including one that a lot of people are getting into with Ian O'Connor of the New York Times. We talked all about his piece on the first 30 days of John Harbaugh, which was a lot of fun. We even got some Rex Ryan talk in there as well. So some very insightful stuff in that interview. So if you haven't checked it out, check it out. And you see the scrolling ticker below. We now have memberships available. As a matter of fact, on the live show on Monday, we got our first Hall of Fame member. Man, this guy's getting a gold jacket in another year or two for joining the Hall of Fame. But we have 3 levels of membership, and you can just jump on board for as low as $4.99 a month and support our channel. And we do appreciate anyone that does that. And of course, you get perks like people that were members before we did that Ian O'Connor interview, since it was recorded, got first access to that for I don't know how long. It was good. They got very, very nice advanced access on that.
Yeah, very much.
Before it was put out to the masses. We'll always put out, our big interviews to the masses, but you get a little priority access, dare I say, if you jump in on the membership bandwagon. So there's the levels. We're called the 12th Manchild. And then you can be a diehard, go up a little bit, get some more perks. We're going to start doing some members-only streams for diehard members. So if we pile some people into that room, we'll start doing some exclusive stuff. There's be like off the cuff kind of stuff. And the Hall of Fame level, you get a spot in our soon-to-be formed fantasy football league. You become an instant member to our digital only. First 10 Hall of Fame members will become members of that league along with Paul and I, and you will play against us in what we hope will be a 12-team fantasy league this upcoming football season, where I'm going to get one of those WWE championship belts for the champion that you'll get to hold on to the whole year if you win the league. All right, and then you got to give it back, and someone else gets it the next year, and you get to walk around with that thing. So, kind of become like, the WWE champ. You can carry that around.
I'd wear that, yeah.
So there you go. So that's all coming down the pike. So jump in at whatever level you can afford. Any level is a great help to us and really helps support the channel. All right, so we're talking with Matt Lombardo here. We are doing Tag or No Tag, our new fun-filled game show here. And so I'm going to bring up the next player name, and that player's name is the guy who was the MVP of the Super Bowl, Mr. Matt Lombardo. Let's talk about this guy, Kenneth Walker III. Franchise tag projected price, little under $15 million. I mean, gosh, you're getting the Super Bowl MVP for only 15. You got to pay one of those dopey wide receivers nearly 30. What the heck's going on with the NFL? I don't know. Kenneth Walker's numbers, first of all, he's only 25 years old. I'll give his numbers for last year because they were very, very impressive. 1,027 yards, 5 touchdowns, and also had 31 receptions for 282. And really has had in his 4 years in the league, I believe it is, 2,000-yard seasons for Seattle. Of course, we all know he was splitting time with Zach Charbonnet in recent days, but then when asked to carry the load down the stretch and in these playoffs, he was able to do it, and it netted him a Super Bowl MVP, which certainly has added to the cha-ching at the end of his rope there, Matt, because suddenly Kenneth Walker now has a little something extra on the resume here to tantalize not only the Seahawks to tag him, but perhaps even other teams to want him on their team because he does have that Super Bowl MVP, and only one person gets that every single year. That's a pretty hard award to get to. So I ask you the question, tag or no tag? What say you?
I don't think that the Seahawks are going to use the tag on Kenneth Walker the third. That seems like it is not something they're going to do, and it's not because of the lack of production. Because if you watch the Seahawks offense, he really was the sledgehammer. He really was the force multiplier that opened up so much in the vertical passing game to guys like Jackson Smith and Jigba and Cooper Kupp and Rashid Shaheed, and took a lot of pressure off of Sam Darnold to the point that, according to Pro Football Focus, he forced the 5th most missed tackles in the NFL with 61. Only 5 running backs had more explosive runs or 10 yards or more than his 33. So he was a big play threat every time he touched the ball. I think what's far more likely here is that when you look at that offense and how it was constructed, Rashid Shaheed's going to be a free agent. I think they're going to bring him back. You look at Kenneth Walker, I think they will bring him back. They have the cap space to do whatever they want. They can look at what the Eagles did with Saquon Barkley after last year's Super Bowl and bump his pay significantly, even though Barkley had a contract. A little bit different situation because there could be a bidding war for Walker, but they have $62 million in cap space. If they want to bump him up, if they want to make him one of the 5 highest paid running backs in the NFL, because he might not be one of the 5 best running backs in the NFL, but he might be the best running back for the Seahawks offense as it's built and for that system, they can afford to pay him and keep him in Seattle on a long-term deal. So I think that there will be a market. I think he'll shop around, but I think at the end of the day, this is a long-term contract that gets done. I don't anticipate them using the tag.
Fascinating. Again, after that run in the playoffs, durability concerns have been there. He's still super young. He'll be 25 before the start of the 2026 season. But, man, the talent obviously is there. But Seattle dealing with first world problems. After winning the Super Bowl, they have all kinds of guys they have to pay, but they have plenty of money to do it. That'll be a fun watch, Lurch.
All right, so there you have it. Tag or no tag? It sounds like both you guys on the tag? Both of you guys on the tag?
No, neither on the tag.
Neither on the tag. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you work in the DJ booth. You're like you're half there and you're half not
both
there.
On the tag? Neither on the tag.
Didn't absorb the main point, which was no, we're not tagging the guy. Okay, all right. Well, it is what it is. All right, BG, you have next item on this.
Before we get there, a quick audible at the line of scrimmage here. We have a super chat on the MC Show digital channel, baby.
Boy, back in the fold.
Love to see. Yeah, Johnny Boy. Hey, I appreciate that. Look at this. Some actual sweet action here. So I know we're still working on exactly what we're going to play here, but I'll do this for you, buddy. Let's get some of this action in here.
Yes, sir, you, sir. Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
An important question, but we have a different question for you here, Matt Lombardo from Johnny Boy. $2 super chat coming in. Question for Matt: with the Jets' 44th overall pick, that's their second of 2 second-round picks they have. They acquired it from the Dallas Cowboys for Quinnen Williams. Would that be enough to trade for one of the tagged wide receivers? He said, "Sorry, I ran out of characters. We had to shove some of his messaging together here." But could that happen? So if Alec Pierce was to get tagged, or Pickens, or any other wide receiver potentially gets tagged here, could the Jets jump into a tag and trade mix by giving up that 44th overall pick? Is that enough?
I think you're far more likely to see a George Pickens deal for maybe the 44th and the 1st or 2nd next year. But I think that if the Colts wind up not tagging Michael Pittman, they tag Alec Pierce, I think it's far more likely that they're tagging Pierce to keep Alec Pierce. But that 44th pick, or even less than that, we talked about it earlier, maybe a 4th-round pick and a player might be enough to pry Michael Pittman loose for the New York Jets. Then you have your wide receiver duo. You have that turnkey offense for whoever the quarterback is going to be that New York drafts next year. So, yeah, I think that if I'm Darren Mugji, I'm shopping that 2nd-round pick. I'm shopping future draft capital. Heck, I'm calling Philadelphia about A.J. Brown. I'm calling the Cowboys about Pickens. I'm calling about Michael Pittman. I am making the calls to try and get wide receiver help because, as we've seen, elite wide receiver play can really accelerate a young quarterback's development and take off the pressure from a veteran like we saw with Sam Darnold in Seattle this year.
Great question, Johnny Boy. Thank you so much for the Super Chat. You guys can continue to send in Super Chat questions for Matt if you do. We're going to be wrapping up with Matt here shortly after we finish this game of tag and trade. But while you can, you hit that money sign on YouTube and feel free to send that along. And by the way, a quick reminder to the nearly 300 people in the room, subscribe right now. That's youtube.com/@MC Show Digital. Or streaming live in 3 different locations right now. Our Ian O'Connor interview that Lurch just talked about earlier is at 3,500 views, doing very nicely on the channel. So shout out to Ian for gracing us and taking the time. So subscribe right now, hop on over, and you guys can check out that interview in just a little bit. Let's go to another game of tag. We got 2 players left for you here, Matt Lombardo. Let's go to our pass rusher up next. Cincinnati Bengals star Trey Hendrickson. He's had a very interesting relationship with the Bengals that have had ups and downs. That franchise tag number $27.32 million for pass rushers. The ever important question that Lurch channeled when he voiced this:
tag or no tag?
What is it, Matt?
Yeah, my sense here is Trey Hendrickson is hitting free agency. I think that relationship was damaged pretty irrevocably last season. There was the $13 million apology to get him to end his holdout, to report and play. They have $53 million in cap space, so they have the room to use the tag if they so choose to. I don't think there's much of a desire on either side. And this is going to be one of the more fascinating markets that shapes up in free agency, because when you look at the edge rusher market, Trey Hendrickson is leaps and bounds above the rest of the competition at that position. Spoke to an agent who represents a couple of edge rushers, including one who's about to be a free agent. He thinks that you could be looking at $38 to $39 million per year as the asking price for Trey Hendrickson. Now, that might be a little bit of wish casting at that position, hoping that that's what Hendrickson fetches, because then you have the trickle-down effect on the rest of the pass rusher market. Because a front office executive I spoke to, he thinks because of the injury a year ago, that the price could be down in that $20 to $22 million range, with big-time, easily attainable incentives to bump the price up, to see if he's still that 17.5 sack year guy that he was 2 years ago and the year prior, or if the injury has any lingering concerns. But I don't get the sense that there's much of a desire for the Bengals or for Hendrickson to get this done. And you're going to have a lot of teams that are kicking the tires there. The Chicago Bears are going to be shopping at the top of the free agent market at edge rusher. The New York Jets are going to be shopping for edge rushers. I think that they're an obvious fit. You can see the Buffalo Bills get in the mix. So there are going to be several teams knocking on the door for Trey Hendrickson, and I think that this is a spot that the Bengals are going to prioritize drafting early again, as they did last spring, and maybe looking at a Khalil Mack type, somebody in that second tier of edge rushers, a little bit more affordable, so they can spread the money around and fix up some other positions of need on that defense.
We like what you're saying there, Matt. Agreement with you, my friend. All right, we've got one more player on the list, Matt. Boy Green should really be introducing this player, but he just happens to be the last player on the list, and it's my turn. So let us go down this road. Okay, so here's the player. Breece Hall, Jets running back. Franchise tag, projected price, again, a little under $15 million. We've seen that come up here for these running backs coming in again to their 5th year. 24 years young. 1,065 yards last year, despite all the Jets' woes. Only at 4 touchdowns. I mean, that's a little bit of a low number, considering. But now back from his injuries, seems like the durability has returned. I don't know. Maybe some people still question his durability. I mean, it was a heck of an injury he had. It felt to me at times when I watched him play for the Jets last season that he was getting his burst back. That he looked like the Breece Hall that we saw at the very beginning. We were like, whoa, did the Jets get a steal in the draft? Look at this guy. He can fly. He can run away from people. There was a burst there when he burst on the scene for the Jets that really had a lot of people excited, including me, going, man, how did the Jets get this guy? Right? Because what was he, Boy Green? Was he a second or a third round pick?
He was a second round pick. He was, I believe, I always mix it up because the Jets traded with the Giants. It was 34th, 35th, or 36th. I'll pull it up in a second. But he was a top 40 pick in the draft.
So you're saying we gave you, the Giants gave you?
You did, which, by the way, see, people say Jets and Giants don't strike trades. Not true. It happened in the draft. You guys helped us get it. And by the way, 36th overall. I knew it was in that range. 36th overall in that draft back in 2022.
All right. No sounder on this one, Matt. I'll just do it live. It's our final one, and I'll give you the hand gesture like Howie Mandel used to on Deal or No Deal, and I'll give you the stare. Tag or no tag?
Hey, can you raise your hand, Lurch? I want to make sure I get it in. I missed it. There it is.
Tag
okay.
or no tag? I'd even do that little push.
Yeah, right.
Tag or no tag? All right, Matt, go ahead.
Guys, admittedly, this is one that I don't have a strong sense either way for. And there's a lot of conflicting feelings inside the league about where this will go. If I were the general manager of the Jets, I would not tag Breece Hall. Because I look at how far away they are offensively. I look at all of the needs that they have across that roster, especially on defense. I know that they have like $68 million in cap space or whatever that number is. But do you really want to commit $14.5 million for this year to a running back when you're that far away of contending? Now, they can always work to get a long-term deal signed, sealed, delivered, get that cap number down, move the cap space into future years. But I think that if he shakes loose and if the Seahawks don't tag Kenneth Walker and if Walker hits free agency, I could see Breece Hall as a consolation prize in Seattle. I could see Breece Hall winding up, if the Chiefs don't plan on drafting a running back early, in Kansas City and doing great things there. I don't know that Breece Hall would want to wind up committing long-term to the Jets when you're potentially going to have contending Super Bowl ready rosters potentially bidding for him. This just seems like, given where the Jets are in their rebuild, given how this is a pretty stacked running back class, especially in the mid rounds where you can get a running back on a rookie deal as you're putting your roster together. I think there's one where they either sign him to a team friendly low cap number this year type of a deal, or they say thank you for your services and best of luck moving forward.
What about tag and trade, Matt? Would they do that?
That feels so rare. And I don't know what the market is to tag and trade for a running back. Maybe it's a possibility. I mean, if you're the Chiefs and you can trade for the tag number and then restructure them. But guys, they're $11 million over the cap even after dropping Patrick Mahomes' cap number by $34 million, right? They still have to cut Jawan Taylor. They still have to maybe cut Mike Diana to get cap compliant. The Seahawks would make some sense as a tag and trade, but are you tagging and trading for Breece Hall? Or are you committing to the devil that you know, the girl who brought you there in Kenneth Walker? So I think this is one of these natural ending points for Breece Hall with the Jets, and I think that he might be able to cash in somewhere. I just don't get the sense that there'd be much of a market on trade market here.
BG, your team, your guy, what you doing?
Respect, and I love Matt. We've been doing a lot of work together for a long time.
Like a disagreement. You don't have to be about it.
Yeah, there's a disagreement. I respectfully, with all due respect, Breece Hall, if you have been planning vacation and you've been looking, new league year opens on March 11th, I packed my bags. I can't wait to see where I'm going. I've got a message for you, Breece. Nowhere, buddy. I'm telling you, you're not going anywhere, pal. The Athletic just dropped their top 150 big board of free agents. Does I don't know if either of you have either of you seen that article yet?
I'm going to guess he's probably a top 15 or so free agent, maybe a little higher than that.
Okay, Lurch, where do you think Breece Hall ranks? The Athletic just dropped their top 150 free agent big board, ranking every free agent. Where do you think Breece ranks on this list?
This season, top free agents.
Yeah, for free agents, right. The best free agents, they believe they're about to hit the market in a couple weeks.
I'll go 6.
Breece Hall is second. He is second on the list of any free agent, not running back, second overall. The hell? I'm letting Breece Hall walk out of that door with the money that the Jets have. They're not getting a comp pick. They're going to spend too much, and it doesn't matter what Breece is going to get. That's going to cancel out. So if I'm the Jets, the only way I could get an asset is if I tag and trade Breece. So I'm either tagging him to keep him, and hey, buddy, learn Jets. You're playing for us in 2026. I'm tagging him and turning it into a long-term deal, or I'm tagging and trading him. Those are the only 3 options. Breece, you're not going anywhere, buddy, unless we're getting a pick back. So the Jets have the money. People can say, but the Jets are 3-14 running back. I don't care. We've got the money. Pay the man. We already have a million needs. Off the top of my head, wide receiver, quarterback, defensive tackle, defensive end, off-ball linebacker, corner, safety, and hey, you know what, Breece? Hit the bricks, pal. Running back just got added to that list. What are we talking about here? You're getting tagged. Tag your in, Breece. You played that game when you were a kid. We're playing it when you're an adult. Tag, buddy. See ya.
Oh, Lordy.
And that's why they're the Jets.
There you go.
Matt, before we let you go, how about plugging out your what you're up to? Give people a sense of where they can go and how they can subscribe in the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, guys, come check us out at Between the Hash Marks over at mattlombardo.nfl.substack.com. A little bit of a promo going. We are about 10 subscribers away from 3,000 total subscribers. So if you become our 3,000th subscriber, and this is free paid total subscribers. If you become number 3,000, you're getting a 1-year free subscription on me to try us out for a year. And if you become a paid subscriber, any time between now and when we hit 3,000, you're going to be in the lottery to have a lifetime paid free subscription. So this is your opportunity to help us grow, get in the door, check us out, and we'll be in Indianapolis for the Combine next week. So we'll have some boots on the ground reporting from what's happening at St. Elmo's in the back rooms and at Prime 47 Steakhouse, the rumblings and the rumors and the whispers that we're hearing about free agency. We'll be in the room for the press conferences with all the GMs and top prospects. So this is a great time to get on board. Check us out. It's Between the Hash Marks on Substack. And we got the podcast every week. We might have an announcement coming up about the pod in the next day or two that you want to stay tuned for that. And guys, this is a lot of fun as always. I guess I'll be talking to you from Indy next week.
Yeah, right. You'll be in Indy. Yeah, nothing like a little scotch and steak. That'll loosen them up, Matt.
Yes.
I think you get some dandies there. You get some dandies. Just buy a few rounds. Next thing you know, loose lips, baby, loose lips, sink ships.
That's the plan.
By the way, if you guys are watching on either of our YouTube channels, again, the Boy Green YouTube channel or the MC Show digital channel, there's a direct link already built into the YouTube description down below. Click that. It will magically transport you. It's called technology, folks. I'm not sure how it works, but it takes you on a train over to Between the Hash Marks there on Substack, and you guys can learn and explore more about it there as well. So, Matt, thank you so much for joining us, and can't wait for the live visit from Indianapolis. Should be fun next week.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me. It's about to get real. Off season's kicking into gear here.
Right. Thanks, Matt. We'll talk to you next week. Matt, heading to the Combine. Love it. And you should definitely subscribe to his Between the Hash Marks on Substack's fantastic. Matt does great work. I always mess around with him, but he's terrific, which is why we have him on the show. And very, very plugged in, especially at that GM level, and a lot of dialogue going on behind the scenes with teams. So I love to get his insight on that kind of stuff. And so that was fun. Tag or no tag?
Yeah.
Had a lot of agreement there. I agree. Some people popping in the comments. I just saw one I wanted to pop up there. Let me see here. But the point that was made, as soon as I find it, I'll grab it here. But the tag and trade really is pretty rare. And I think it's one of the more difficult things to pull off is the tag and trade. We all say, just tag trade the guy, but then it's hard. And you heard Matt kind of reiterate that as well, that's not an easy task to pull off. But I mean, look, the tag is a weapon. It is a tool for these franchises. And I got to imagine, I mean, I don't know if I've heard this from players, Boy Green, but I got to imagine the players hate this. Like when they get to the next collective bargaining agreement, like having the tag out there, just having this thing.
Sure, right.
The team can lock you in essentially for, what is it? Is it 3 years ultimately, right? You can, I think you can tag a guy up to 3 times. I think that's correct, right?
Yeah, so here's how it works. So, right. Well, first off, let me just address the obvious. Of course, Breece Hall hates that the Jets have a tool that could prevent him at 24 years of age from reopening the market. 100%. Because, like, he can, regardless of whatever he feels about the Jets, even if he want to come back to the Jets, it behooves him to hit the market because now 32 teams are bidding against each other for the one player. So, yes, the rule works this way. You're allowed to tag a player 3 times in a row, but there are punishments for doing it 3 times in a row. When you do it once, it's, the number that we've already talked about, 14.53 million. You do it a second time, there's 120% increase on the previous number. The third number, then there's another percentage increase on that number. So it makes it harder and harder for the team to be able to do it from that perspective. But it's, to be honest, I see CBW saying no one is doing the tag and trade. I totally agree, and we're going to. Yeah, and we're going to see that. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised. I know that people are saying, the market. If someone just ranked Breece Hall the second best overall free agent, you're telling me that no one in the league would tag and trade? I don't buy that at all. And to be honest, the tag and trade history, while it is the overall processes of it is rare, there have been plenty of tag and trades in history. Here's a couple off the top. Yannick Ngakoue, he was tagged and traded. Pass rusher within the last 5 years. Jadeveon Clowney, he was tagged and traded over the last 10 years here. Frank Clark, another Seattle Seahawk, he was tagged and traded over the last bunch of years. Dee Ford, another pass rusher, he was tagged and traded in recent memory. Jarvis Landry, wide receiver, he was tagged and traded recently. So we have like 5, 6, 7 examples there of players that have been tagged and traded. So it is, the overall thought is rare. It doesn't happen every year, but it does happen. There is a history of it. And again, this is a unique situation. I think if the Jets want to tag and trade Breece, they will find teams.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. But I do think the tags, they do make it interesting for us during the offseason. And, I do like the fact, I mean, look, players in sports, and it's not just in the NFL, I mean, we've seen it big time in the NBA, have in a lot of ways garnered a lot more control in recent years. Okay. Control was always the owners and the GMs and the franchises. The franchises always had the power, and the power has shifted. And it has moved more in the direction of the players. In the NBA, it's almost completely in the players' hands. But in the NFL, it just continues to, just edge that way every year. It just feels like it's becoming a stronger and stronger magnet, pulling the, dare I say, the power to the players. And the franchise tag is one of those things that remains in there, that remains as a great weapon for the teams, because you can, stop a guy from going somewhere that you don't want to lose regardless. And not only do you lock him in for 1 year, but you have the potential to keep locking down. Now you got to pay, a premium price to do it, but you don't have to commit to anything more than a singular year at a time. And of course the player hates that. So yeah, right. I just wonder when the next collective bargaining comes up, if the players don't, rail against that, find a way to get out of that. Because I can't believe they agreed to it, frankly. But I guess they got other concessions that were worth it at the time. But now that it's played out, I got to imagine they got to be like, come on, we got to get that thing out of here.
Here is my message to the players ahead of that CBA conversation. Sack up, players, okay? You can't agree to a CBA and then complain about, geez, can't play this franchise tag thing. Then try to negotiate it out. Here's something, right? The NFL is drooling for 18 games. They want it so bad. They want an 18-game season. If you are the players, you need to look yourselves. You got to get in the room and got to look at yourselves. The NFL wants this. And when the NFL wants something, they get it. But here's the thing. We as players need to find out what is the most important thing to us. Is it getting rid of the franchise tag? Is it more guaranteed money for salaries? Is it raising the minimum up for vested veterans? Like, there's all kinds of things they could talk about. That's important. But you, the players, you control this. You know what the NFL wants. Get something good if you're going to give it up. Get something good. Don't get something lame. You get something lame, you have no one to blame but yourself. You guys agreed to the deal. It has to be ratified. One side. The NFL can't just say, boom, we want this to happen and force it. It has to be two sides. So on the other side, my advice to you guys, if you don't want the franchise tag, try to negotiate it out.
Yeah. So I agree. It's there's you got to fight for that for sure. Ken, I saw another good comment here. Where the heck did it go? Just been jumping around here. With CBW again, if you could find it. But he mentioned the fact that you don't pay anybody aside from McCaffrey, more than the $15 million essentially.
Well, that's not true.
Going right there, it is. Right. Well, number one, Saquon's already making more money than that.
Right.
I was just trying to take a quick peek at some of the running backs in the NFL and what they're making right now.
Yeah, I have it right here. I mean,
but think about this for a second. Okay, so I get it. I mean, it's the going rate for running backs. But then, did you not see those numbers as we were going through that game of tag or no tag? Are you going to? It's hard to convince me, as someone who watches football and loves football, that Alec Pierce is worth nearly twice as much money as pick your running back. Breece Hall, you can pick anybody, but
Kenneth Walker, right?
Kenneth Walker, that's just not true on the football field, and yet that's the number. The wide receivers are getting cha-ching, and the running backs are getting screwed. And by the way, they take way more of a pounding. Their bodies, the toll on them is much more demonstrative as well. To me, it's just ridiculous what's happening right now with the running back in the NFL.
I agree. So first off, let's address just the false thing that's on the screen. Oh, who pays running back $14 million? Not named Chris McCaffrey. Well, I'll give you a full list right now. Saquon Barkley is making $20.6 million per year. Chris McCaffrey's making $19 million. Derrick Henry's making $15 million. Jonathan Taylor's making $14 million. There are 4 running backs. You said none exist, and I just gave you 3 beyond Christian McCaffrey that exist. So let's try to spread some truth out in the streets, Mr. Jim CBW. But don't worry, that's God's gift to me. I can only tell the truth. It's my blessing and my curse. And let's go beyond this. If you're a team, right, who would trade for a running back? Running backs run the football and catch the football. Breece Hall on his resume has a 75 reception season in his history, on top of running the ball very well. He should have been comeback player of the year a couple years ago. Here were the top 3 players that season in total scrimmage yards: Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, Breece Hall. That sounds kind of interesting. Breece Hall can run the football, catch the football in the backfield. To your point, let's just talk franchise tag. But if he gets tagged and traded somewhere, someone's immediately going to sign him to a long-term deal, which, by the way, will be less than $14 million. But Alec Pierce is going to get $28 million and no one bats an eye. But Breece Hall, $14 million, disgusting. Who would trade for that? I would argue more people would be wanting to trade for Breece than for Alec Pierce, because you're going to get him at a discount. He can run the football. He can catch the football. He can pass protect. He can help in so many ways. Look what it did for the Eagles and Saquon Barkley, which is a name that was ignored. Saquon Barkley won the Super Bowl. Without Saquon Barkley, the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl. Running backs get so overlooked. I hate it. I'm biased. I'm a former running back myself, so I have a special place in my heart for these running backs. But I think 1,000% there's a cajillion teams that would be interested in Breece Hall. And if they plan on tagging trading him, we don't know what's the truth. Although Zach Rosenblatt of The Athletic reported yesterday, the Jets do plan on tagging Breece Hall. We'll see if it ends up being tag and trade or what. If they tag and trade him, I want Jim CBW and every other person in the United States, this could happen. I want an apology. I'm going to scream shame on this show for like 3 minutes in a row, and I want you to cast out in the streets and say, I'm the greatest of all time, which I already know, but I want to hear your dirty mouth say it, because you're so wrong that he's not going to get tagged and traded. So people, just remember this, okay? February 18th, 11:59 a.m. I want to make sure, because I want blood when this happens and he gets tagged and traded. There's just so much disrespect and slander in the streets. It makes me sick.
You want to, I'll get you riled up on this, man. I mean, you want to talk about crimes in the NFL when we talk about what guys are getting paid, right? So we just mentioned if the Colts elect to, do the franchise tag for Alec Pierce, he's going to get paid almost $30 million. Okay. $30 million for a year. Listen to these guys that are running backs and what they're making right now. And I understand some of them will eventually get paid, but this is what they're making right now. Jahmyr Gibbs, $4.4 million. Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the best.
On a rookie contract, of course.
I understand, but these are the real numbers. What does it matter? Bijan Robinson, the best players in football, $5.4 million. 5.4. I mean, like, come on, man. James Cook, who led the NFL in rushing last year, $11.5 million. I mean, these guys are a bargain, Boy Green, a bargain. And they're getting clocked every play, and they're running between the tackles, and they're scoring touchdowns, and they're catching the ball out of the backfield too, by the way. Yikes. Ooh.
Hey, Lurch, let's do this real quick. Why don't we take one more break? There's something I want to throw at you.
Okay. All right. I'll do that. All right. So today's
maybe Sharkies or something, or give us another sponsor.
Our friends at the Northeast Roofing Professionals.
Sure.
They're our title sponsor, so they deserve some extra props. So we'll do that. We'll hear from our friends at Northeast Roofing Professionals, and then we'll come back, and Boy Green's got something up his sleeve here. We'll see what the heck it is. Stick around. It's the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. Don't forget, pop that subscribe button at MC Show Digital on YouTube.
Finding the right local roofing company can be tricky. You don't want to hire the wrong roofers, or you could end up spending a fortune on repairs. The pros at Northeast Roofing Professionals can ensure your home is protected by a strong and sturdy roof. Locally owned and operated, over 30 years experience, free estimates, and competitively priced. Don't settle for an inexperienced roofing contractor. Turn to Northeast Roofing Professionals. Discounts for military and first responders. Reach out and let them put a sturdy roof over your head. NERPCNY.com. NERPCNY.com.
All right, we are back. Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital. You can see scrolling below us. We now have membership on our channel, so you can become a member. We have 3 levels. It's a whole lot of fun. You get some cool perks. And if you join our highest level, the Hall of Fame, we have one guy going to get his gold jacket somewhere down the road. Jamie, the FedEx guy, has jumped in at the Hall of Fame level. He is automatically now in our fantasy football league that we're going to create for digital members only coming up this fall. If you're one of the first 10 to join us at the Hall of Fame level, you will indeed get into that league, which will be exclusive. You'll play against Boy Green and myself, and I'm going to get a WWE Championship-style belt in the center of this whole thing in order for us to have some fun in the league. So, but whatever you can afford, and it's just a way to support the channel, and we'll have all kinds of cool perks, and we'll do some giveaways and all kinds of stuff coming down the pike. And I mentioned it on Monday. I'll mention it again quickly now, but we're going to wait until next week. There's just a couple of things that Paul and I are working on behind the scenes, but our Manchild Show digital shop will be opening next week, and where you can buy, dare I say, logoed things like our cool pint glass is one of the items. So you can purchase yourself a pint glass now. That'll be available on our online store next week. I created a cool golf shirt that's out there for people in a variety of colors. And we've got some other cool items. We'll display them all. We'll show them all to you next week. And again, it's just another cool way to support the channel, and more importantly, help support the brand, get our name out there to people who otherwise wouldn't know about us. There you go.
Yeah. Which is great. Thank you, Lurch, for sharing the love. Again, I'll give another plug for it here. We'll have a special surprise for all of you guys here in just a few minutes, so hang on tight. We're going to be calling an audible at the line of scrimmage. Sometimes you got to do that in football, Lurch. Okay, you come up and you're like, all right, we're going to run XY banana split Z. You go up, Bluebird 22 said, whoa, 52, wait a second, can, quick audible. We had a plan, and then new information's provided. Whoa, they're running a little man. I thought they were running zone here. Whoa, we got to change up the play. We got to call a little canoodle zebra action. We need to shift protection alignment. Get my slot wide receiver from the left to the right. Get the running back there. Move from my left to my right. Get the pass protection. Slide protection right. Sometimes you got to call an audible alert. Got to be ready at a moment's notice. Okay.
That's like John Gruden and Mel Kiper.
Yeah.
Both hopped up on caffeine right there. That was a very demonstrative, high octane, high energy take there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Which, by the way, the other thing real quick, Lurch, I appreciate before we go with a surprise,
yes,
is We should take a moment and just thank the fans that 636 subscribers.
Really awesome.
We have 595 videos. We have more subscribers than we have videos now. And it's incredible. Our Bud Poliquin interview is blowing up from this morning, which we appreciate. The O'Connor interview from earlier this week is doing very well. Man, I'm just tickled because I know I've been doing my Boy Green show for, it's going to be 6 years in September, which is terrific. But this MC Show digital show, which is a digital baby from the radio days, it's just been so well received by the fans. So this piece of the puzzle, I am very excited about. But Lurch, let's do this. Here's the surprise, folks. Boom! We can press a button and pow! Green has jumped up.
Amazing the way this universe is that you can just do that. You can just press a button and somebody appears. It's fantastic.
100%. All right. So, Lurch, I'll give you a second here to gather yourself because I would love you because what we're going to do, folks, here's the surprise. Our interview, which is normally pre-recorded, we're going live, baby, which means this episode will be presented separately. If you guys are watching live, you're going to get to enjoy this Jets conversation we're about to have live here on the show, and it will be uploaded as a separate podcast after for all our Jet fans out in the audience that would like to dabble in here. I'm also a collaborator on YouTube, so you guys will also see that on the Boy Green channel as well. So Lurch, let us know who this is going to be presented by, who this is going to be included with, and please.
Well, our live interview is brought to you by our friends at Box Drop Syracuse, the mattress and sofa outlet, and we talk to this guy when we talk Jets every week. You want to talk about getting clicks on interviews? His interviews always get clicks on our channel, and he does pretty well by himself as well. He was recently at the Super Bowl and at the Senior Bowl. Let's welcome in the one, the only Jake Asman. What's up, Jake?
Hello, gentlemen. You guys want to talk about pressing buttons? Watch this.
Hello, gentlemen. How we doing?
Oh, I love it. He's got all these cool effects, man. He's just hooked up, man. I love it.
Okay, yeah.
Well,
I'm so excited to be on with you guys live for the first ever time.
He can do helium. He can go deep.
Yeah, there, Jake.
Movie trailer guy.
We'll see.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm a robot, Boy Green. I'm a robot. I paid $700 for a new mixer, so it can do a lot of cool things, like making announcements.
Hello. I'm on a great show right now. Everyone, check it out. Tune in. We got the Manchild. We got Boy Green, and it's all happening.
But Jake, can you do this? Okay, so I worked with a guy. This has come up once on the show before. Paul loves this. I worked with a guy many years ago when I was a young neophyte at Toys R Us down on Long Island, where I grew up. And this guy used to be the guy that puts the bicycles together for people. So now if you buy a bike at Toys R Us, you can get it assembled. And he was the bike assembler, right? He assembled all kinds of things. But the primary thing, he was always assembling bikes. And then we'd, bring him out the back door and put him in people's cars. And his name was Paul. He's a terrific guy. Another Paul. And he was this little mite of a guy, but he used to mess with me all the time. And what he used to do is he used to throw his voice. All right. And I used to be like, who's calling me? What's going on? And this is how he do it. He taught me how to do it. So watch this.
Yo, Jimmy! Jim! I'm over here. I'm trapped under a box. Hey, Jimmy!
So he taught me how to throw my voice. It's the freakiest, craziest thing. And I'd feel like he's in the distance. He'd be like, help me! Help me! I'd be like, where are you? Paul! And he was in the back just laughing his ass off all the time. And I finally figured it out. And I was like, you son of a you-know-what. God damn it. So taught me how to throw my voice.
That's a skill set. By the way, where was the Toys R Us on Long Island, Roosevelt Field?
Our place, yeah, right across from Roosevelt Field. Yep,
that's right. I went there many times growing up.
Wow.
There you go, man. I was running that stockroom. I was the head of pickup for.
Love it. You probably helped my parents buy toys for me as a young youth.
See, isn't that cool? Isn't that fitting that we go back to Jake Asman's roots, and then his shirt is the Titans of New York, which is a shirt I have, which is the roots of the gosh darn New York Jets from 1960 to 1962 before they became the New York Jets, and then blew up with the Jake Asman show and everything else. It all's full circle, Jake Asman. It's all full circle, pal.
That's right. It all goes back to the Jets somehow.
See,
and I later worked at the Macy's in Roosevelt Field, where there were many pretty ladies in there. I had a very good time.
Zooey Mama. Okay.
My favorite job of all time, working at Macy's.
Sweet, passionate love, perhaps, was had at some point there in New York. So God bless, Lynch. God bless. All right. Well,
let me jump into this.
Please.
Right before you came, Jake, we actually had Matt Lombardo on our show, and we played a little game of tag or no tag. And the last name that came up is perfect to segue into this conversation. We're talking about what the Jets should do with Breece Hall. And there's the franchise tag projected price, a little under $15 million. Brees, we know, has had injuries in the past, but did really over 1,000 yards last season. Maybe the touchdowns could be a little bit better, but let's face it, the team wasn't all that great. Give me your thoughts. What should the Jets do here on Brees Hall?
So I think they need to keep him. I think we could debate, does that mean they extend him or they use one of the tags? But when they didn't trade him at the deadline, I think they were saying that they were going to keep Brees Hall because they had a 4th-round pick reportedly on the table and chose not to deal him. So once you make that decision, I think you have to keep him. If you just let him walk for nothing and you maybe get a compensatory pick 2 years from now, that's at best a 5th-rounder, what did you really do? Is Glenn and Muji, are they even here to use that pick if they don't start winning some games next season? I think they got to keep him. You have a ton of cap space. You have a million holes, but why create another hole? Now, Brees might not like the idea of being on the tag, but you know what? Tough. It's collectively bargained. You put the tag on him. I'd use the franchise tag because then you don't have to worry about losing him at all. Whereas if you use the transition tag, sure, it's a little cheaper. It's around 11 million and change versus 14.53 as you have there on the screen. But for the extra 3 million and maybe a good gesture to Brees, you say, hey, we were thinking about using the transition tag. We're going to use the franchise tag. You're going to make the most amount of money you can make for a year, and we're going to keep you and continue to use you the way we did this past year where you had over 1,000 yards and hopefully a better quarterback play to help us win a lot more games. I think you got to keep them and not create another hole. I don't want to extend them, but I think once you determined you weren't trading him, you have to find a way to keep him.
Jake, we are in complete alignment, which is not surprising. We're both smart guys. Of course we're in alignment. To me, if they penny pinch in transition tag, I'm going to be pissed because there is a way. For people that don't understand what the difference is or what the transition tag means, it means you get him a little cheaper. That's true, 11 million and change. But if another team offers him a contract and they sign him to an offer sheet and the Jets go, you know what? No, we're not going to match. They get nothing. 0 comp pick, 0 nothing. They get absolutely zero if he walks out that door on a transition tag. I don't love that. I don't love that chance. Maybe a team's going to look at the Jets cap situation. There's a lot of smart cap people around the NFL, and they work out an interesting deal that's poison pill-ish and say the third year is going to have like 30 million guaranteed or something. And the Jets go, son of a, I don't know if we could do that. And then you lose him for nothing? Hell no. Pay the extra $3 million. And if you're going to tag and trade him or do something else, okay, it's $3 million. You got 79 million. Figure it out. That's what you have the money for. Like, man, that would make me furious if they transition tag him. Now, if they transition tag to a tag and trade, maybe it all ends up being the same, but I'm going to be very upset they transition tag him and due to some funkery with the math and the cap, they lose him for nothing. That'll piss me off.
I agree. Again, why create another hole? You have all this camp space. You didn't trade him. So the second you didn't trade him, to lose him now for nothing when you're then going to have to replace him with another free agent signing or use a draft pick in a draft where it's not a great running back class, it just doesn't make sense to me. Keep Brees for another year, and you worry about it a year from now.
Jake always needs. I know every time I bring it up with Paul, he's like, well, what needs don't we have here with the New York football Jets? But you have to, going into a combine and inevitably making your way to the draft, especially when you have as many picks as the Jets have, you do have to prioritize what your needs are. So if I were to ask you that penetrating question, how would you prioritize the Jets' needs in this offseason?
Well, quarterback is obviously the biggest one. That's obvious. And I don't know if there's a move they can make that's going to make any Jet fan, universally excited just because you throw out Kyler Murray, everyone hates you. You throw out Kirk Cousins, everyone hates you. You throw out Marcus Mariota or whoever, people hate it. There's no perfect answer. Derek Carr, we could just name names. You could come up with 30-something names and people will be like, nah, no way. The reality is that's their biggest need. Beyond that, though, outside of offensive tackle, you pretty much could say they have needs all over the place. Now, some are bigger than others, right? Like, I don't know if they need to invest a ton in a tight end when you're expecting a year 2 leap, let's say, from Mason Taylor. Brees, if they let him go, that's obviously a huge need, which is part of my argument for keeping him. I think wide receiver 2 is a need. The offense certainly has more in place than the defense. Defense, you can name a position, and you pretty much could say, yep, that's a need. Linebacker, safety. They've invested a lot in corner, but they still could probably use another one, certainly some more depth at that position. And obviously defensive line. Right now you have Phillips, you have Briggs, and then outside of that, you could use another defensive tackle. You certainly could use another edge, whether that be with the number 2 pick in the draft or with a free agent signing. You need more than just Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson. They better not be bringing back Michael Clemens. So I basically named every position on the defense. So there's needs all over the place.
Which there is. Can confirm. I just want to go back to Breece Hall for a second, because if they tag and trade, so to what you just said, reportedly the Chiefs offered a 4, the Jets wanted a 3, they didn't budge, and that trade never happened. Now we fast forward a bunch of months and we're here. If Breece Hall gets tagged and traded, can they do better than the 4 offer they had? Because our all mutual buddy Alon comments on the show all the time and says, if he was the Chiefs, I'm offering the Jets a 6th or a 7th and take it or leave it, because I don't think anyone else is offering. And I'm like, screw that. I would rather let Breece Hall burn on my roster than turn around and give him away for a 6th or 7th. But what do you think the price could be for Breece? Because the Athletic dropped a top. I just did this with Matt Lombardo and Lurch. The Athletic dropped a top 150 big board, ranking all the free agents in the land. Breece Hall was the 2nd best overall free agent on the list. If people in the NFL think that highly of him, I think you're going to be able to tag and trade him and get a significant asset. Am I crazy?
Look, I don't know. Well, I guess it depends on your definition of what a significant asset is. Do I think they could do better than a 6th and a 7th? I do. If they couldn't get a 3rd at the deadline, I'm not convinced there's a 3rd out there this offseason. It's probably not even a 4th. Maybe a 5th, though, a 4th, or maybe a 5th that could turn into a 4th, something along those lines. Again, I want to keep him. If you tag him, at least that gives you the opportunity to trade him. And where are they finding a better player than Breece Hall is my big thing. Like, doesn't Aaron Glenn want to try and win games to save his job? Everything the Jets have said publicly has been all pro Breece Hall. Even at the end of the season press conference, the way they talked about Breece, they talked about him as if he was going to be here, not as if, oh, he's a pending free agent. You know, they asked about Justin Fields. They didn't give you an answer. They basically said he's gone. With Breece, they made it sound like he's on the team. So I thought that was notable then. And I still think ultimately, unless the Jets have completely changed their entire approach, which we know they've already done a million times under this current regime, I think Breece is going to be a Jet and he's going to be tagged.
There's been some interesting developments, Jake, that I know, like, we could just say these guys might not be interested in the Jets. But if we put that aside for a second, let me just ask you if you think they could be a good player for the Jets. Mike Evans, obviously, now talking about playing another year. Obviously, he'll probably have some choices, and sounds like he wants to go to a winner, but he theoretically would be out there. Tyreek Hill now suddenly looking like he's going to be available from the Dolphins. You interested in either one of those two guys for the Jets, regardless of how they feel about the Jets? What about how you feel about those players?
Not interested at all in Tyreek Hill. I just think at this point, who knows what he has left? He's going to want to go to a contender. He's not going to want to go to a team that's clearly in the middle of a rebuild that has no stable quarterback currently in place. So I'm just not interested in him. Plus, like, is he playing? Like, he's 32, coming off not just your typical ACL injury. It was a lot more than just the ACL that was messed up that night against the Jets. I just wonder how much he has left for anyone, but I don't think it makes any sense for the Jets.
All right, let me give you another wide receiver. I was tickled by this from Matt Lombardo, and I think this is we're trying to find a running mate for Garrett Wilson. This guy checks off the list. What about Michael Pittman Jr. getting a trade for Pittman? Because apparently the Colts are strongly considering tagging Alec Pierce, and doing that could force other maneuvers in the building where they would consider trading away Michael Pittman to fit in that salary and what they're going to do. What about Michael Pittman pairing up with Garrett Wilson? That's a Jet fan favorite. I think we all wanted a bunch of years ago in the draft, and we could get it a few years later.
Definitely intrigued by that. I would want to know what the cost would be for Pittman per year if he's available. They need another,
okay,
right? Like, they need a number 2 receiver for sure. But I think there's better ways to go about it potentially than him. You could make a trade. You obviously could go out there and sign someone like him, or you could use the draft. And I think the draft, there's tremendous value there, right? You already paid Garrett Wilson. You have so many other needs. You got 4 picks in the top 44. Pick 16 could be a receiver. 33 could be a receiver. 44 could be a receiver. Again, you have a number 1, and I think you feel like whether he's a 2 or a 3, A.D. Mitchell's going to have some role in this team. I'm higher on him, I think, than most. I don't know if they're going to be that aggressive spending on a big-name receiver. If you want a receiver name to watch, the Jets could really use a bona fide slot threat. And Wan'Dale Robinson on Merch's Giants, I think, you know, Jim could talk more to this. I think he'd be a good fit. He had the best year of his career. Good dude, hard worker. He can handle playing in New York. He just did it with Lurch's Giants. I think that would be a name I'd look at beyond, you know, the bigger name like Pittman if he were to be available.
I'd agree. He's a nice player. He is a nice player, and I do think he handles New York very well. And I feel like he's on the upswing. So the Giants have a difficult decision with him, but it does feel like they might move on, and the Jets would be a good fit for him. So I'm down with that, Jake.
Yeah, that would make sense. The only thing I would push back on, Jake, is if we get a rookie, that's fine. The veteran, you know what he is. And the Jets have had a lot of history trading for veteran receivers. Braylon Edwards, Santonio Holmes, Brandon Marshall, like getting some of those guys in there that just know what they're doing. And you got to make sure, apparently, they don't have the ego of Devontae Adams. And if you remove the ego of Devontae Adams and get that kind of player or less, because Devontae is really talented, obviously, maybe that can benefit Garrett to have that other guy. And you just know, you don't have to guess. The Jets have swung and missed on so many wide receivers. It doesn't mean they should never dip their toes back in a rookie wide receiver draft class ever. Look at Garrett Wilson, obviously, but get that veteran in there that you just know exactly what he is. Maybe that's something, again, recent Jets history of the last 20 years of our lives growing up, Jake. It's been very successful.
Yeah, look, I'm not against it. I just want to know what the trade cost would be. Because, of course, if you can get a Brandon Marshall for a 5th-round pick, it's one of the best trades in Jet history. Like, he had one of the greatest seasons you and I have ever seen as fans of this team. And that, of course, goes without saying. Santonio Holmes goes without saying. So they've had a history of doing that. But they also now are in a spot where you have all these resources and what is supposed to be a really talented receiver draft. You almost wonder if you're better off spending the premium resources on fixing the defense, adding more depth to your roster, and then take the swing on some of the big-time skill position players in the draft. Because if you're right, you have a good scouting process, have a good GM, then you get these guys on rookie deals, and that's the best way to build out your team when you already paid your big star receiver in Garrett Wilson.
Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. We'll talk with Jake Asman, our Jets insider. It's at MC Show Digital on YouTube. This video brought to you by our friends at Box Drop Syracuse. Let's take 30 seconds. We'll hear about Box Drop. And I want to ask Jake about this salary issue that we were discussing before he came on in the NFL. The difference between wide receiver pay and running back pay. We'll do that when we return. Be right back.
Considering that we sleep nearly 1/3 of our lives, buying the right mattress is essential. At Box Drop Syracuse Mattress and Sofa Outlet, you'll get a unique experience, one that saves you 30 to 70% off retail prices on top-of-the-line mattresses like Sapphire Sleep. At Box Drop, you'll schedule a mattress fitting appointment and get one-on-one service directly with Paul, the owner. No middleman. Family-owned, huge savings, no-pressure sales designed to save you time and money. And now Box Drop Syracuse has sectional sofas and love seats as well, with prices designed to fit your budget. Box Drop Syracuse Mattress and Sofas. Set up your appointment today at boxdropsyracuse.com.
All right, we are back talking with Jake Asman, our Jets insider, Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital. So before you came on, Jake, we were talking a little bit about salaries in the NFL, and it's amazing to me. You look at a franchise price for a guy like Alec Pierce, right? He's a 4-year player. All right, pretty good player, all right? But his money, you see it right there, nearly $29 million if they elect to tag him. And then you do the reverse, throw up Breece Hall's numbers there for a minute, Boy Green. Here's a player, or Kenneth Walker, maybe even a better example, a guy that's the MVP of the Super Bowl for crying out loud, and it's 14.53. And in a look test, Jake, come on, you can't tell me that Pierce should be getting paid twice as much money as those guys. I'd argue that both of those guys are more important to their teams than Alex Pierce will ever be on any team he's on in the NFL. Give me your thoughts on what's going on with salaries in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, this is why the players always are anti the franchise tag and anti the owners winning every CBA negotiation. I mean, in general, the tag is a flawed process. For offensive linemen, there's no guard designation or center. It's all just bumbled into one, which hurts the ability of some of the top players to make money. If you're a top tackle, you want to be paid like the top tackles in the league. And if you're a guard, well, you're not going to get the franchise tag if you're a guard, because then the tackle salary is going to be leveraged in there. And also, for tight ends, the tight end value is really low. But then you have unique examples like Travis Kelce or Gronkowski or Brock Bowers, right? Those guys aren't your typical tight end. So their average salary shouldn't be combined with the 4 other top guys at their position. So that devalues that number. Same with running backs. So not all running backs obviously are created equal. Like Christian McCaffrey and Saquon could help teams win championships, whereas a bell cow running back who's okay is replaceable, but that's all averaged in. So it's a flawed process. Same thing with edge rushers, by the way, like linebackers and edge rushers. There needs to be like a separate category for that. So it's an imperfect system that the players have continued to agree to in the CBA negotiations, and the owners typically always win those.
All right, let's go to a super chat coming in here. Come on, Jake. How can we not get the love? Sign Mike Evans or Odell? Yes, I haven't heard an Odell reference this offseason. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you. F-Sod to God 36, $2 super chat, huh? Jake, are you ready for an Odell Beckham? We've been dreaming about this forever. Huh?
Come on. Really? What are we doing? Odell?
Hang him up, man.
In 2026?
How old is
no.
Odell? Let me check on Odell. What's going on with Odell? Is he
34?
33 now? 33. Okay, I thought he was older than that, to be honest with you. Okay.
His body is shot at this point, is it not? I mean, he didn't even play this past year.
Yeah. Sorry, F-Sod to God 36. Beautiful suggestion, but I don't think that's going to hit exactly, quite frankly, where we need it. Do you have, speaking of the overall free agents, the Jets have the fourth most cap space in the league. This is a great opportunity to either, rise up or fall down. The Jets have plenty of, swings and misses of Trumaine Johnsons and, Le'Veon Bells. Things have gone horrifically wrong, but every once in a while, DJ Reed, all right, that wasn't bad. We've had a few free agent hits over the last couple of years where, it works. So all this money can be good or bad. Do you have a way to spend it? Jake, you're the GM. Who are you targeting? There's a lot of big free agents out there at a variety of positions. And as we established, the Jets need a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they do need a lot. Look, everyone could give you the Lions tie-ins on what the Jets will probably do with a guy like Alex Anzalone. I'm looking at safeties in free agency because safeties hit the market and you can get them at a reasonable price compared to other positions. There's two guys I really like on the same team. I'd want to pick from the Bears secondary. Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker are both free agents. I want one of those guys because you look at Chicago, they led the NFL in takeaways this past year. The Jets didn't have an interception all year. So I want to raid their secondary. I'm also potentially interested in Cameron Curl, who's on the Rams, Byron Cook, who's on the Chiefs, if you want to throw some other safety names. And people might think I'm nuts. Let's form a super offensive line. Let's overpay for Tyler Linderbaum, get him in there, build up our team for whoever the rookie we make the big swing on, I believe will happen in 2027 ultimately. If we sign Cousins, great. We can protect him and actually give ourselves a chance with an offensive line of Linderbaum, Olu Fashanu, Joe Tippmann. The other side, you got Armand Membu, who's going to be, I think, a future Pro Bowler in year 2 now. We'll see what they do with AVT and Simpson, but like that to me would be a wow type of move if they could get him. You're going to have to overpay, but that's free agency. And you know what? At the end of the day, like you're not paying a quarterback a ton of money this year in all likelihood. And next year, I believe they're going to draft someone. So that quarterback's on a rookie deal too. So I think you have the resources to spend and try and get the best offensive line the Jets have had since they had a rookie in Mark Sanchez starting from them in 2009.
What about the Jets' key free agents? Is there anyone Jake Ashford's pounding the table for? Please keep this guy or that guy of their pending free agents. Everyone you mentioned, John Simpson, AVT, Ivan Schefter, Breece Hall, they have the franchise tag to prevent one of these players, whoever they choose, from reaching the open market. Is there anyone coming off a 3-14 season that you're pounding the table for of don't let him go?
Well, Nick Folk, I feel like, is an obvious one. And I think it's more, is he going to retire versus like if he's going to play football or if he's going to come back and play football for another year. So I'd start with him. I mean, again, I think they should tag Breece and bring him back. We talked about that earlier in the conversation. And I'm very iffy on AVT. I know there's some Jet fans who are like, bring him back. And like, I'm not anti bringing Vera Tucker back, but I heard someone, I forget who said it, throw out the number, 2 years and, $28 million. And I'm like, that's a lot for a guy who's missed 3 full seasons, basically. So I'm not sure on that. I'm okay with bringing Vera Tucker back. But I need a 1-year deal with incentives if I'm going to make that type of swing.
And Rich Cimini, by the way, in a column that came out this morning, he reported that. So he spoke to 2 agents that are not ABT's agents and said, what do you think can happen? One said, 1-year prove-it deal, which is what a lot of us think with 3 of his 5 seasons in the NFL ending with season-ending injuries. But another agent said, I don't know, man. He could get a multi-year deal that pays him $13 million per season. Some of the Spot Track and PFF projections have him at 50 and 70 plus million on 4-year big money deals because of his ability to play tackle too. So, I just have this weird feeling that I don't know if a 1-year prove-it deal and everyone offers the same thing is enough. There may be a team that's squirrely and sees the age of AVT and says, you know what? Everyone gets overpaid in free agency. That's a bet worth taking because when he's healthy, he's this awesome player. Maybe someone takes a bet, and that's obviously bad news for the Jets.
Again, everyone's got a price. there's got to be a breaking point, I think, for some of these teams and the Jets as well, because they have so many needs. So there's not a single free agent the Jets have where it's like you got to keep them at all costs. But there are some guys I think you want to bring back at the right price.
All right, and Jake, we're asking you this basically every week as we take a gander at the draft. Are there guys you're starting to fall in love with? Is there any prospects in this draft that get you thinking sweet, passionate loving in there in the Asmaniac household?
Sweet, passionate loving. I love Fernando Mendoza. I do. I just know they're not going to be able to get him. Yeah. So that's unfortunate. Outside of him, I really like Mekhi Lemon, and I think he'd be an awesome addition. When we talked about wide receiver earlier, I just don't know if he's going to be there at 16. So you might have to move up. If we're talking about guys that maybe you could find some value in that are not there at 2 or 16 for the Jets, we talked receiver earlier. I think a guy like Omar Cooper Jr., who played with Fernando Mendoza at Indiana, would make some sense with one of the 2 second-round picks. I don't love any of the edge guys we've been debating. I like them. I think they're talented. Reese, Bailey, Bain. But I'm not in love with any of these guys. None of them are like, I need them at all costs. I'm not there yet.
So let me ask you this. If you're not in love with one of the front 7 guys at 2, the debate I've heard among Jets fans, and I know it's been in your comments when I've watched your show too, Jake, why let the Giants, with all due respect to Lurch over there, just get that top receiver at 5? They say, the porridge, too hot, too cold. Oh, this porridge is just right. At 2, apparently, it's sacrilege for the Jets to take one of these receivers. Oh, that porridge is too hot. But 5, the porridge is just the right flavor, so they could get a receiver at 5, but we can't get a receiver at 2. How the hell does that make any sense? So why not the Jets, for whoever the hell is going to be playing quarterback, you load up this car. You give it hydraulics. You give this thing nitro. You're loading up this vehicle, so whoever the quarterback that sits behind this wheel is going to be playing with awesome weapons. Why not screw the front 7 player if it seems uncertain and just get a wide receiver that's going to be opposite of Garrett?
I don't have any issue with that. I just wonder how the Jets' grades are for these players, right? I mean, the Giants could take a receiver. They would have a really high grade on that player. I truly want to know, if you looked at the Jets board, where's Caleb Downs on their board? Because same exact scenario, right? Like, you can't take a safety at 2, but what if Downs is clearly their best player ahead of the other edge defenders we're discussing or some of the receivers? Then what do you do? Would they do it? I mean, someone on my show made a great point. I think it was a caller by the name of Ralphie. He goes, look at the Kyle Hamilton draft. You think the Giants would rather have Kayvon Thibodeau or Kyle Hamilton, right? So, like, we spend so much time talking about position, value, all that. But again, Thibodeau's an okay player, was a top 5 pick. And then here's Kyle Hamilton, who's a 2-time first-team All-Pro, and he fell because of his position. So at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're still taking the best player, obviously at a position of need or a position that is, a premium, but you don't want to go too far where you're taking an inferior player just because, it's an edge. So we got to take an edge there over a great player potentially in Downs or one of the receivers. So I'm with you.
Yeah. So maybe the reason why the Giants should maybe go safety themselves at 5 and not worry about, the idea that you shouldn't take a safety that high. They need one. They need a good one.
Yeah, I'm not sure, Jake, if you have sound effects ready, but Efzad to God is back. Okay, you didn't like Mike Evans or Odell Beckham Jr. Okay, no worries. What about Trayvon Diggs, baby?
Trayvon Diggs.
Come on.
Sorry, Efzad.
What are we doing? He stinks. No. I'm okay.
It's just like noise. I like that. It's just like white noise.
It is. It's very nice. So Efzad to God, sorry. You'll have to try again on a different super chat, perhaps. So you're running out of names and, quite frankly, running out of time as we're about to wrap up the show.
Go big or go home, man. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's a way. I want to end on this one, Jake. You did it on your show the other day this week on Daniel Jeremiah. So there is a world where Daniel Jeremiah did it in his 2.0 mock draft where the Jets go guard at 16th overall with the talented Penn State big man. If the Jets did that, that would be their 5th offensive lineman they've taken to the first round since 2020. That is by far the most in the league. So they would have invested more than anyone. And that it would mean potentially that they have 4 of their 5 offensive linemen on the roster are first-round picks, 3 if AVT ends up skipping out of town. That's a lot of investments. What do you think of that bold prediction, that bold conversation that was raised there by Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network?
I guess if he's the best player, you got to strongly consider it because you don't want to reach for the things we were just talking about. But, like, do they let both Simpson and AVT go, and that's why they're going to draft the Penn State guard in that spot? I got to see what the Jets do in free agency before I could really give a strong opinion one way or another with whether or not that'd be a good decision to take a guard at 16.
All right, Jake, we'll end it with this question right out of the chat, and that is, what would it take for the Jets to bring back the flight crew? Wow,
Yeah.
Nitro Girl style?
Sure. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
WCW Nitro Girl style.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to show up at one Jets Drive, Johnny Boy, and you have to storm the facility and demand the flight crew to be brought back. I'm told that's the only way.
Well, you know, I just want to say salute to you, Johnny Boy. Thank you so much for doing everything that you can for the flight crew, and let's try to bring them back. That'd be wonderful. Make Jets football great again.
I'm not anti the flight crew. I think it was a mistake to get rid of them. Right? They haven't been around post COVID, so I think
right. Yeah,
we got to bring it back.
100%. Jake, I want to thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to see you and my buddy Ty Butler. You guys together on ESPN New York earlier this week, which is great. You're all over the place, of course, and all the success, Jake. And what didn't you just reach 44,000 subscribers?
We hit that mark. It's awesome. I'm hoping that we could get to 50 by week 1 of the upcoming season. Might be tough, but given the Jets having all these picks and free agent dollars, maybe we could ride that wave. But it's been a drag, man. It's a shame the team has been as bad as they've been because the fan base is incredible. The only people truly watching now, and you know this too, BG, every day doing your show, are just diehard fans. Like the casuals are out, and you can't blame them. So you're truly just doing a show for sick in the head diehard Jet fans like we all are. So just hopefully one of these years we finally get rewarded for our undying loyalty to what has been a dog crap product for far too long.
Well, 44, magical number here in Central New York and Syracuse, in case you didn't know, Jake. Very, very special number.
Our folks Jim Brown, right?
Yeah, Jim Brown, Floyd Little,
Ernie
Larry
Davis,
Zonka.
retired in the rafters. Yeah, it's a rather magical
What was
number.
that movie? The Express, right? That was the movie with Ernie Davis?
100%. Yeah, great movie. Yeah, there you go. 100%.
Great movie. By the way, what's the deal with Syracuse basketball? Does Carmelo's kid get a transfer? I meant to ask you guys this when I joined you.
Jake, it's getting dicey.
It looks like Autry's going to get fired. He's the head coach.
Looks like they're going to fire their coach. So if they fire their coach, then the question is, what's the fallout? Maybe everything hinges on who that guy is as to whether Melo keeps his kid there.
Is the coach the problem? Are they not recruiting well? I mean, it's tough to get kids as you.
Well, he had to replace Boeheim, So, and I'm going to be me and Lurch are on the same boat here. When they hired Autry, I was very underwhelmed. They didn't do a national search. As soon as Boeheim exited stage left, they just promoted from within, which I think was underwhelming because Syracuse basketball, that was that's a program name that had some real gravitas, especially immediately after Boeheim. I thought they should have opened a national search, looked under every rock, interviewed the biggest names they could have. And just because you're a big name doesn't mean success. But that's where I thought they should have gone. When they just rolled over, gave to Autry, I was very disappointed. I'm like, oh boy, you're going to have to prove it to me. And quite frankly, and obviously, he has not proven it. And I fully expect him to get fired at the end of the year, and then we'll see if they can bring in a big name. But yeah, it's disappointing to see how the whole Kai and Anthony and Carmelo thing has gone, unfortunately.
Yeah,
and I would offer this too, Jake. Just the last thought on this, and that is, I just wonder what this team would be like if Rick Pitino was the coach. Because it feels to me like there's talent on this roster, and they got some, Carmelo and another kid, Sadiq White, were like top 30 guys.
Johnny Freeman too was another big
highly regarded guys. They've piled up some very highly recruited high school guys. Now, not every high school guy pans out, but it feels like there's talent. It feels like they did well in the portal. It feels like they brought and it's just not coming together. And when you watch the team play, it just looks unpolished, the same mistakes over and over again. And that is coaching, but I hate to put it completely on the coach because the players got to play and they have to show up. And sometimes they're not hustling and the defense is lackluster. But again,
that's not coaching.
I just love to see what this team would play like. You've seen down there in New York what he's done with St. John's, and that team was in the dumpster.
Oh, yeah.
And he has pulled them out, and they are a top 25. They're a contender now. And Syracuse has gone the other way. So a lot of people here in Central New York are very, very upset. Very upset.
And Pitino said that St. John's will be his last job, but you never know with him because he said that in the past and he's bounced around. But at this point, you probably could argue St. John's might be a better job than Syracuse, right? You get to be in New York City. You're playing most of your home games at the Garden. You got Mike Rapoli, who's funding the NIL, so they have one of the highest budgets to bring in players. I know, like, Central New York people don't want to hear it, and I love Central New York. I went to school for 4 years in Ithaca and went to games at the Dome with my friends who went to Q. So I've always rooted for Syracuse. I'm a Knicks fan. I love Carmelo, so I almost went to Q. So I've always, even though I didn't go there, had the attachment to the school. I just seeing what Patino's done at St. John's. The Garden is sold out every night they're playing now. Like the Carrier Dome, as great as it is, it's still in Syracuse, New York. That's a tough sell to a top prospect over, hey, come to New York City, make money, and play at the Garden. Like that's a really cool selling point for any prospect or transfer portal guy.
And the Park School's a good place too, Jake. It's not a bad place.
Go Ithaca Bombers. That's right, Jim. You know.
It's a new house, but it's a pretty darn good place. I almost went to Ithaca too.
Oh, wow.
I ended up choosing Syracuse.
What
but
could have happened?
I really love the vibe at Ithaca. And I actually occasionally in the summers make trips down there. They have the beautiful gorges and all that kind of stuff, right?
Hey, that's the best time to do it. You guys know winter ain't fun.
No.
Hey, one of the colleges I visited, Ithaca. So it could have happened. Me and Jake could have been roommates or something.
Could have all been.
We'll never know.
Okay. Well, Jake is the one.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jake. Thanks for popping in live. We appreciate it.
You got it, guys. Thanks for having me as always.
All right, there he is. Jake Asman giving us some love, all things Jets. Always good to check in with Jake. We were going to record it, and Jake was available earlier, and we were still on the air. We said, let's just bring him on live, and that's exactly what we did. So that was a lot of fun. Fantastic.
Okay, so again, thanks to Jake.
Two things in one, right?
Yeah, by the way, another reminder to people again. So if you just saw the Jets Jake conversation, great. You just saw that live. But people that normally listen to the Jet version that's sort of cut up and uploaded separate on the podcast, we will do that after the show. So you guys will see that separately in your feed, just like anything else. But again, moment struck, and I appreciate Jake making some moves here to pop up on the show. Salute to Jake.
All right, let's do some wrap-up stuff before we get out of here. There's been a ton of comments, so I don't know. We can run through maybe grab a few comments. I want to thank everybody who there's a membership or two that was gifted during the show today. We had several super chats. Again, you can now super chat. We got the cool emojis now. You can do stuff. So Boy Green's throwing them up on the screen here, and you can take a look at some of the people who have contributed. We really appreciate it. Supporting the channel is important. Again, we're still just a little baby. You know, we're a 630 subscriber baby right now, but we're growing every day. We really do love doing this for you guys. The reason that Paul and I are into this and have done it as long as we've done it is we just love what we do, and we love our teams, and we love talking about this stuff. And so now we've just brought it to the digital space, and so the more you support us, you know, better chances we're going to be sticking around for a while. So that's always a good thing. And we
Lurch, come on,
membership available as well. What
Congratulations.
What is it?
Now up to 638. The subscribers keep growing in the middle of the show.
All right, excellent.
It's out there in the audience. And
in the show alone today, we added 8 subscribers.
Oh, yeah. This is a lot of fun. So shout out again, the Bud Poliquin interview is up. That's getting a lot of steam. We had Ian O'Connor. Again, we'll upload the Jake one separately in case you guys missed that. So we'll have the Jets conversation coming too. Man, this is awesome. It's been great to see the growth.
Well, Bud dared to say in the interview. Bud is always, you know, you never know what's going to come out of Bud's mouth. Sure. And Bud covered Syracuse sports for years, over 20, maybe close to 30. And Bud said he basically called Syracuse we interviewed him last night. It was a recorded interview. And he basically said, what are they running up there? A clown show. He did the old Bryce Harper thing, you know, was a clown thing. What
right.
Clown show. It's the clown show.
But Bud called it a clown show because, again, John Wildhack is set to retire, and that John Wildhack apparently, by all, including himself, well, he's going to run the search for the next guy. So wait a second. Right before he's on his way out, he's going to pull, and again, Ozzie, you know, Ozzie Newsome had a little bit more pull than John Wildhack, with all due respect, to give Lamar Jackson his final pick to the next regime, Eric DeCosta and the Ravens that took over. That was his final draft. You know, he was sort of around for a little longer than 10 years of Wildhack. So I don't know if this is the gift that keeps on giving Clark. But yeah, he called him a clown show because if John Wildhack is making this decision and going deuces and then disappears through the smoke, like whoa. So yeah, that quote is going viral.
So that's going viral, and Bud made a suggestion. Now he said this very carefully because I already responded to some comments this morning of people that had already watched the video.
Yeah,
all right. You know that Bud is a tool, and Bud was getting some names called at him, and the reason was because Bud, during our conversation, proposed that Syracuse doesn't fire Adrian Autry when the season ends. It almost seems like it's almost, barring a miracle, bound to happen when the season ends. I don't think Syracuse is going to do anything before the season ends, but I do think when the season ends, it's likely they're going to make a change at the head coach. We'll see, but it certainly feels that way. And so Bud suggested, with a new AD about to come in and not even hired yet, with a new chancellor coming in and I think not hired yet, that Syracuse might be on better footing to not make a move until
it's easier
build. Right. So you keep the guy in the fold for another year, and then you make a transition while these people are now have gotten the lay of the land and they're established. So he was just proposing that maybe it would be wise of Syracuse not to necessarily jettison off their head coach. Well, the fans right now have the torches and the pitchforks at the gate. So for Bud to propose that we hang on for another year, people don't want to even hang on for another week. And Bud says, hang on for another year, and then everything gets sorted out. People do not want to go through another basketball season like this. Not that changing the coach is just going to be some magic wand, because unless they get somebody who's really going to change things, that's going to attract people, they're going to have this fallout of all the guys that they have now, some of whom are pretty good players and young players, leaving and going to places where it's more stability. And then you start with a brand new roster, and usually your first year is a little rough unless you get a Rick Pitino, somebody that just immediately draws people in upon hearing, oh, that's who I'm going to go play for. Syracuse will be back with that guy at the helm. So unless they get that guy, and I don't know who that guy is right now, there's this kind of despair about what's going to happen if Autry is let go at the end of the season. So Bud made some comments about that, and it really got a rise out of the fans. They were going nuts, and he did frame it around. I'm not saying they should do this. I'm just saying it makes sense in some ways. Oh boy, you throw that out to the fan base right now and forget it.
Well, there's two things here. First off, one of the paths to this potentially happening is that, well, you never know. Autry, there's 4 games left. Autry could win out. Autry could do this. He could do that.
He loves to do that.
Yeah, and wings could burst out of my body and I could fly away right now. Is that within the realm of possibilities? Maybe, but unlikely. So Autry has shown no sign that suddenly a random winning streak against, by the way, multiple top 25 opponents is suddenly going to happen here in the Final Four. And then historically, Syracuse has sucked in the ACC tournament. And suddenly this year, when all is wrong, it's all going to pop up. So, yeah, for all those reasons, I can understand some of the torches and pitchforks that are sort of, kind of out there in the universe. The one part I would push back on you, Lurch, where you say, hey, this new head coach is not some magical antidote. We're in a new world in 2026. This isn't an NFL roster with 53 players and John Harbaugh has to put his fingerprints over this massive entity and there's 30 coaches, all this stuff. In college basketball, we're talking about 15 guys. You're talking about you and 5 assistants. Like if Autry leaves, sure, everyone could basically leave of players. But if you get, I'm making this up, the Arizona State head coach, the Tennessee head coach, the whoever head coach come in here, immediately brings his people from his old school, his own recruiting he was doing with
the portal, which is basically created free agency. You basically have free agency in college basketball.
So you can really swap out almost a full team, and the only difference is instead of wearing a green jersey, you're wearing an orange one for Syracuse, and you're playing in a different locale. So I think if you get the right coach, I'm not trying to blow smoke up the skirt. We don't even know. First off, Autry hasn't been fired yet. And secondly, we have no idea who the new person would be. But I'm just saying that if we're talking about possibilities, if Autry could do this 20 wins, like Bud says, well, totally a new coach could come in here, bring in a few players when you only have 5 on the court, and you could bring in a few impact guys and immediately have a turnaround. Because to be honest, it can't get much worse than it's been with Autry. And I want to highlight our buddy Jim CBW here. He says the program was fading under Jim Boeheim, but few are willing to say that for fear of punishment. I think me and Lurch have been very open about it at the end of the radio run, and then here in digital whenever we do our Syracuse stuff. Isn't it obvious that Boeheim struggled at the end? We've been on this drought of NCAA tournament appearances. Boeheim had his first under sub 500 season of his entire career. Clearly, the golden age. I think someone did, Bud obviously highlighted this. This was a classic Bud versus Boeheim moment. After Tyler Ennis hits his buzzer beater to beat Pitt and make Syracuse 25-0. Since that moment in time, which Jim Boeheim does not like, since that point to now, we've been in total sucktown for a long time. And that includes Boeheim. So I'm not afraid to say that it was or fear of punishment. Well, what is he going to do? Jim Boeheim going to come to my house and like berate me? Like, no, I'm not afraid of anything from Boeheim. It's the truth that it was falling apart. And then the Autry choice I thought was poor, and it's proving to be poor.
I don't disagree. No, the program, Jim's magic had worn off in the end. And look, I mean, the proof's in the pudding. It is first under 500 season in his history, nearly 50 years. I mean, and that's pretty much was second to last year. I mean, I can't even believe he hung on a year beyond that. He had the kids, and he could have walked off into the sunset with a kid in each arm and said, this is it. This is my last hurrah. Shame it had to end in an under 500 season with my two kids on the team, but c'est la vie. But he still stuck around for another year, and it didn't get all that much better. So no, it was, and I think part of it is NIL, and part of it is again how the game of college basketball has evolved in terms of recruitment and acquiring players. And I don't think Jim really liked it, as a lot of veteran coaches haven't. We've seen some great coaches in college basketball literally stop coaching. Okay, Jay Wright, Villanova, Tony Bennett, Virginia, just to name a couple. And these guys weren't ready to hang it up. They weren't Boeheim's age. Boeheim's was in mid-70s, late 70s, I think, when he retired. These guys are still, dare I say, somewhat in their prime. And they stepped away from the game because they just can't stand the way the game is operating now. And they can't coach kids. I'll call them kids. They can't coach these young adults the way they want to coach them. Because if they give him any tough love, the kid just walks next year and gets to just go play for whoever else he wants. So now you can't be harsh with playing time. You can't be harsh with discipline. And now you got to go work out money deals. Hey, I need. Hey, I played well last year, coach. What you getting for me? Like what? What am I getting for you? What do you mean? What am I getting for you? I'm giving you an education. I'm teaching you how to play basketball. So maybe you might even have a future playing basketball for money. But that's not the case anymore. Now they're playing for money in college. So it's a good thing and a bad thing, but it's a lot of the older coaches just don't want any part of it. And I think even though Boeheim hung in there, he didn't like it. I don't know if he ever publicly said that, but come on, read the tea leaves. I mean, that's so clear to anybody that has watched him over the years that it wasn't where he wanted to be. He said all the right things. He did all the right things. To say, no, I can work with this. I got people on my staff that can help me with this, but I don't think he liked it. I think he hated it. I think if we got him alone on the mountaintop, as we say, he would admit that. So, wow, this has been an eventful day. Any final thoughts, Paul? I think
Well, I just said, let me check Twitter to make sure I didn't miss any breaking news during the show.
What now?
Lurch, I don't know where you normally stand on receiving good news and bad news. Which do you prefer? Which do you normally prefer? Good news or bad news?
I prefer. Well,
which one first? When you get news, when someone says, "I've got good news and bad news," I'm saying, which do you prefer to hear first? Normally,
give me the bad news first.
Okay. Well, I'll give you the good news first. I won't even listen to your request. Here's the good news.
Thanks for sparing me.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's the kind of guy I am. Syracuse men's basketball was still relevant enough to get a mention on ESPN's PTI. Pardon the interruption. Great show. That's the good news. The bad news is it was a blunt critique in which Tony Kornheiser, who's a former Washington Post columnist, of course, called for a complete and full reset of the Syracuse basketball program. Chris Carlson covered that story and posted it during our show here. So, wow, that Tony Kornheiser on national television is calling for a full reset of the Syracuse basketball program. Oof.
And the heat is on, baby.
Not surprising, but I mean, to hear that nationally like that, damn, Autry is not getting away from any of this talk.
No, that stinks. No, he's on the hottest of hot seats right now. And, I think there's a certain amount of fairness in the fact that the team not only has the team not performed well, but the team just doesn't look good. They get
blown out a lot.
And they've been blown out several times. So that's not good. And it doesn't appear, as hard as he might be pushing those buttons, that the players are responding to whatever discipline, whatever coaching, whatever things, whatever tactics Adrian Autry is using as a head basketball coach. And when that happens, you lose the room. Sure. And nothing else really matters. Right. Nothing else really matters. And then I offer you the exact opposite. A Rick Pitino goes down to St. John's. They weren't listening to anybody down there. They couldn't get any players. And he's just completely got everybody listening. He's got, as he said, he's got the big fat donor, as Jake was saying. That's really, really helping things. That's not a bad thing to have.
Sure.
And the whole thing is turned around. But they are getting the message, and that's
for Autry, again, this is year 3, buddy. That's plenty of time in this world. Lots of coaches and people get a lot less time than 3 years. 3 years is plenty of time to figure it out. He didn't. Sorry, pal. This is a results-oriented business, and you didn't deliver. So it's just as cold as that.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. Well, that'll put a nice neat bow on this one. I want to thank everybody for their comments, their contributions. I want to thank Jake Asman for popping in. We will cut that interview up and put it out separately as well, as we always do with our Inside the Jets segment every single week. And if you missed any of today's video, you just go back and watch it again. We'll post it as soon as we say goodbye. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you. Take care.